After rereading our writing collaboration piece and thinking of some ways we can improve it, I did find some ideas. In the second paragraph about what a Chalk Talk is, you stated a Chalk Talk is a silent activity that provides all students the opportunity to reflect on what they know and then share their thinking and wonderings while connecting to the thoughts of their classmates. I think that's a great definition. A thought that came to my mind would be including some information on if there's any specific writing pieces that this activity works best for, some ideas for the reader. And then in the next sentence, the Chalk Talks can be used when deciphering the meaning of quotes, inferences, author's purpose, and even figurative language. Something that I thought of was that, a question I had when reading that was if there are any specific question stems or sentence frames that the students can use to give the feedback to their classmates on the quotes and inferences and author's purpose and the figurative language that might help when giving their feedback in the sentence. With this in mind, Chalk Talks provides each student with a silent opportunity to reflect and share using a different colored marker, taking away the fear of adding a name to the thinking. The teacher is still able to keep track of which students responded which way in participation, creating a safe environment for students to collaborate on chart paper. I was thinking right away when I read this whether this is done in a whole group or in small group, because I know like I wouldn't have a different colored marker for all 23 of my students. So how does the student have a different color if they're in a whole group? And how does the teacher keep track of which student has what colors? Because it does say the teacher is able to keep track of which students responded. Is there a specific strategy or way that the teacher can remember which student has which color to still keep the feedback anonymous, but to help the teacher to know who is doing what? Would be some good information to add there. In this next paragraph about the vertical partnerships between varying grade levels, I was immediately curious about this while debriefing. The seventh graders admitted that when given the assignment, they didn't really think that the third graders would actually grade them on it. I thought this was funny. I was also curious and wondering how many comma mistakes the third graders actually found. I think adding some data here, such as how many comma mistakes did some of the third graders find in the seventh graders' papers, would make it really interesting to read. I mean, would add some extra spice to that paragraph. My next feedback was very simple, changing this to project more seriously instead of serious. Then the next sentence, this alone creates a need for writing collaboration to occur. I was a little curious at what this actually meant. Were the seventh graders not collaborating before on their writing with peers, or just not with third graders? So how did this alone create a need for writing collaboration to occur? So maybe a little bit more information and explain what that means. For this sentence here, depending on the grade level, the teacher or students could jot down recommendations to be given to the author to look back on when rethinking the work and making adjustments based off of glows and grows. I think this is such a great addition to the author's chair. I love the idea of having the teacher or students write down the ideas so the student could reference them when they go back to their revisions. So great job with that feedback there. And that is all the feedback that I found, and I hope that that is useful.